The Unwanted Heroes. Written by Anonymous, well, me. Read by me as well. Prologue. This is the story of a group of heroes. Obviously, if you couldn't tell that by the title, I'd be most concerned for your health. Anyway, this is about them. Close your eyes and imagine. A man, head half shaved, with hair blacker than a bottomless pit at midnight. Tall, rather lanky, and immensely pale, with dark shadows under his eyes, one of which is covered with his thick black hair. A woman, rather tan, with a light spattering of freckles upon her sharply angled face, and large green eyes, which are illuminated by a fire sitting atop her head. It doesn't hurt her. She rather likes it. Another woman, this one with dark skin, intermittently interrupted by a pale patch. She has one such patch on her left eye and her mouth, and frizzy pink hair cut right over her shoulders. Her eyes are black and angled, and her frame is curved but slender. Finally, another man, this one with immensely pale skin, big brown eyes, a round face that doesn't match his seemingly malnourished body at all, and a large blob of water in place of hair. They meant well, but in the end they continued to be despised. I suppose I'm getting ahead of myself, though. Let's start at the very beginning, when the first hero, Demetrius, was introduced to his destiny. A very sad day, but an important one nonetheless, and it is the sad details that tend to be the most important, isn't it? He was but 6 years old, a few years before he had shaved half of his head, and his abyss-like hair sat shoulder-length and curly upon his head. His mother had him on her lap, and she resembled him greatly, save for a few details. Her hair covered both eyes, her skin was gray, and she had 2 long antennae that were tied back behind her head. She usually encouraged Demetrius, or Demi as she so fondly referred to him, to laugh and be exuberant in everything. But this evening, as they sat on the fountain in their courtyard, she was solemn and quiet. This is how our story begins, on a fountain in a courtyard at dusk. When these words were uttered, everything was set in motion. Demetrius, do you know the real story of our country? The young boy stared at her in confusion, sleepy after a long day of play. He tilted his head, something he did to allow him to see out of both eyes, and it caused his hair to shift. What do you mean, Mamma? I mean, honey, she started, that what they teach you in school is highly inaccurate. Our country, it wasn't built on peace treaties and banquets. It was built on something much darker. It was built... She hesitated, looking into his innocent eyes. One of them was different, a permanent reminder of what he was that had made her cry when she saw him as a newborn. The white of one of his eyes was black, with a white pupil, just like hers. His other eye was normal, and he'd never thought anything bad of it. But to her, it was a reminder that no matter how much she changed her appearance, she would never be human, and neither would her son. She had cursed him, with her selfishness, to be an outcast all his life. This remembrance made her hesitate. Surely, such a young child, already destined to have pain all his life, didn't need to hear about this. Finally, she decided he did need to know. Our country was built on war. Fighting, she elaborated when he didn't understand. And many people died. Your father, he tried to help, but our Emperor Alan is a very bad man. More people died. Demi's eyes grew wider, and she hesitated a second time. This time, though, she didn't continue her gruesome tale. Instead, she reached up and tenderly placed a hand on his cheek. I guess what I'm trying to say, Demi, is we're no strangers to bloodshed. And I am going to leave you, Demi, not soon, she added when his eyes became flooded with tears. Not for about a decade or two. And when that day comes, you'll need to go. You'll need to gather what and whom you need to fulfill the destiny that's been yours since the day you were born. He looked at her inquisitively. What does Densinti mean? She chuckled, relieved that her assurance she wouldn't die any time soon had stuck. That was enough hard talk for tonight. She nuzzled his forehead with her own, and he brushed her bangs away from her black eyes. It's just something you don't have to worry about for a while, my little Demi.